Opening in 2009, Manta is the fourth roller coaster arriving at SeaWorld Orlando. This flying roller coaster introduced Orlando to the flying coaster concept. The ride has decent stats, including a 140-foot height, 110-foot drop, 56 miles per hour max speed, and 4 inversions. Being located near the park entrance, Manta is the first attraction guests will encounter. The ride can also gather a decent line, but if the park staff is operating at full capacity, this roller coaster is designed to pump out riders. Presentation. Aquatic lovers are going to enjoy Manta. The entire queue is held inside a giant aquarium. Watch the mantas gracefully swim through the water before you grace the sky in flight. The trains are designed to look like mantas, and the way it rides the course mimics that of the aquatic animal. The theming during the ride is top-notch, especially the final portion of the ride. Right now, the water jets have been disabled near the quote-unquote splashdown, which is a disappointment, but the ride still impresses with the waterfall and nearby foliage. When you factor in all the details that went into this attraction, Manta earns a well-deserved 10 score in presentation. Ride intensity. Manta is a flying coaster that's designed to mimic the way a manta swims through the water. The roller coaster is very graceful in movement. With that said, it has a couple intense moments to adrenalize its riders. Starting off with a diving turn to the right, Manta immediately climbs into its first inversion, a 98-foot pretzel loop. These inversions are among the most intense inversions found on any roller coaster. As you flip upside down, diving close to the ground, the G-forces feel as if someone is sitting on your chest. After completing the inversion, the ride wastes no time by sending you right into another inversion, this time an inline roll. This element is taken high off the ground, so it's a nice, slow roll. The train then takes a diving turn to the right, piercing through the middle of the pretzel loop. The ride rises up once again into another inline twist, though RCDB labels this inversion as a corkscrew. The train now enters the mid-course brake run, sending you through to the second half of the ride. The coaster dives down close to the water, skimming across the top. This is where the water effects would come into play if enabled. After swooping close to the ride sign, the coaster dodges a waterfall before rolling into its final inversion, another inline twist. After another dive close to the ground, the train hops back up into the brake run. In forms of intensity, the first drop and pretzel loop provide the strongest punch of the ride. If you were to remove both elements, I'd say Manta would be a rather tame attraction. The coaster is more graceful than crazy, but that is also intentional. Ride intensity gets a score of 7.5. The pretzel loop alone is enough to push this score up a couple notches. Fun factor. I've been using this word a few times already, but I think graceful perfectly describes the coaster. Besides the pretzel loop, everything else is taken at a more leisurely pace. It is a flying roller coaster, so you're supposed to soak in the surroundings. Other than skydiving, I couldn't imagine what else would give you the sensation of flight. Well, maybe cruising in a fighter jet, but you know what I mean. Airtime is what I care most about with roller coasters, but when I come across a roller coaster that doesn't offer any, then I look at what other forces and details make up for the lack of airtime. Manta is a flying roller coaster and lives up to that definition very well. Because the presentation aspect is so strong, it elevates Manta to a whole new level. Tatsu, which is at Six Flags Magic Mountain, may have a better layout and setting being on top of a mountain, but the interactions that Manta can provide makes it the stronger ride. Fun factor gets a perfect 10 rating. Originality. By the time Manta opened to the public, the flying coaster design has been around for about 7 years. The layout is very typical of other models and doesn't stride too far from the original layout other than being taller and a longer model. In a previous review, I gave Mako a perfect score in originality, stating the ride improved on everything that was great about hypercoasters. The coaster took a typical layout but improved on it by increasing the airtime intensity. Manta, though a bigger and better model than say Superman Ultimate Flight, doesn't really improve on the elements of the ride. That said, I'm not here to bash this roller coaster because I think Manta is a fantastic ride, but I will point out that the layout isn't fresh. However, the way the ride incorporates its surroundings is what makes Manta such a great ride. In the end, a score of 6 for originality seems fair. Ride smoothness. My first ride on this roller coaster was in 2009. I thought it was butter smooth. That statement has held up pretty much true to today. There is a little rattle here or there, but it only lasts for a second and doesn't interfere with the ride experience. Manta is still that elegant flying roller coaster it set out to be back in 2009, earning a 9 score for ride smoothness. Okay, the final tally comes to 8.5, which is a great score. As far as I'm concerned, Manta rises to the occasion, competing against any roller coaster in Orlando. The ride's theming is what you would expect from any other attraction in the theme park capital of the world. The way this ride is incorporated into the park is incredible. I love how close you can get to this ride. In a park full of animal exhibits, Manta is the one roller coaster that turns its riders into the attraction that guests come to see. You'll be flying above them, over the pathways below, or skimming across the water as they approach the ride entrance. My personal score is going to be a 9. I think Manta is a near-perfect roller coaster of its type. Could the layout be a little bit more inspiring? Sure, but the theming is what keeps bringing me back time and time again. I just love it when a roller coaster allows me to interact with the scenery by diving me close to the ground or just above the water. You can almost reach out and touch the waterfall as you fly by. Even if Mako wasn't at SeaWorld Orlando, Manta is still a good enough roller coaster to demand a visit to the park. Alright, well that wraps up my review of Manta. What do you think of this roller coaster? Did my review do it justice? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button and subscribe. That way you continue to get great content brought to you by Xtreme Thrills.